Hi everyone, I'm Wrong Rookie, and today we're going to be taking a look at Rollin Rascal Kickstarter demo. Now I need to point out that for this game, I am a backer, but I'm not getting the game as a backer, but I just did my part of supporting the game. But shortly after I supported it, the game already reached its funding goal, and the developer Curiomatic gave a demo of this game, and I'm just going to share my thoughts on at least the demo, so I'm happy that the game reached its funding goal at the very least. In case you are not aware, the developer behind this game has made Sonic fan-made games back then. And after playing this demo, it does feel like his creative input is indeed present. Which is a good thing, because he can make money on this game, unlike using a Sonic IP, where he can't make income since Sega's fine with fans doing their own Sonic games, as long as they do not make any money out of it. The demo has a total of 6 levels, or technically 7. In single-player mode, there are 2 levels, one that is the tutorial, and the other, which is what I assume, is the first level. The tutorial level explains most of the functions that are in the game. It has a few bugs like this part where I was able to get far even though the spring is locked in the cage for some reason. And the wall jump isn't explained here, but in the online multiplayer mode instead, for some reason. There are not a lot of moves you can do here. While you don't have melee moves to do here, you have 2 different homing attacks, which the game calls the homing dash and the dropkick. I gotta say that I prefer the homing dash more than the dropkick, because the dropkick doesn't always lock on the target, and you can't get any control when doing this move, making it a bit risky. Especially if you're in a higher platform areas where you want the targets to be accurate. The homing dash doesn't highlight for all objects that you want to use it on though, and it's a bit annoying when it doesn't, especially if you want to lock on certain targets like the umbrellas or the bouncy pads. I think the final release should just refine the homing dash and do something like Sonic Colors and Generations, where it highlights all the objects that you would like to target and removes the dropkick entirely. Besides the already mentioned wall jump, you can also turn into a ball anytime and use Rev Up to get an instant boost, kinda like Sonic's Spin Dash. Also, you can do a ground pound while in ball form, allowing you to break things on the ground, just like the dropkick, which further makes that move useless. Oh, and you can also reach through narrow gaps. That is all with the moves, but what about the overall levels themselves? The levels are very open-ended, with many paths to choose from. There are certain springs that are locked in cages, and for whatever reason, I can't get them to open. I can only assume that later on it gets reworked. However, they are pretty empty a lot of times, as nothing very interesting happens when you explore the levels, which is expected for a demo that is in alpha. But given how the Sonic fan hacks that the developer worked on look a lot like this one, it worries me a bit if the game will end up in that scenario, because in the end, these types of levels, at least based on the demo I've played, pretty much feel like they're more for speedrunning and not so much designed for exploring sections and finding secrets or certain collectibles. If that does end up being the case, I would feel a bit disappointed, considering that this is one of the aspects that I love about platform games in general. Speaking of collectibles, there are technically 3. But the blue and red coins don't do anything in this demo other than exist just for amusement. The main collectible here are these yellow coins that serve to fill up your health meter. How did I come to know this? By simply letting myself get hit by spikes constantly until it got all depleted. Just to confirm, it is the health meter, since the game's tutorial does not explain the mechanic. Although there are no bosses in this demo, it makes me wonder how the yellow coins will work out if the final game does include them. Would you be forced to not collect them until you really needed to? Or would the bosses give out the coins each time you get a chance to hit them? But then you may ask, Rookie, you just said there are 6 levels. Where are the rest of them? Well, they are in time attack mode for some reason. From level 3 onwards, the music remains the same, but the levels appear different even though the theme is the same. These levels are more linear and do not have any enemies here other than spikes. But they offer a bit more variety compared to the first 2 levels. You have this pole that raises you all the way up depending on how fast you go. Then you have these fans that blow you to higher platforms, as well as these slopes that you have to run through. I suppose there is one more level to mention here, though it is for multiplayer, and it doesn't seem to be one where you can race other players, as it looks more like an arena. I can only guess that this will be something like players getting a specific kind of collectible. That would honestly be a bit odd, considering that the levels are more focused on speedrunning and racing. These levels are fairly well done, but they lack a lot of polish that will probably be addressed in the final release. I especially find the final level to be the most frustrating because they tend to test you on the speed aspect. And in most cases, it's frustrating because the boosters aren't there to keep you from falling off on sections where you run upside down. Otherwise, I find the controls responsive for the most part. Your movement builds up the more you run, and I have to say, I really like the animations so far. The expressions have that squashy feel to them, and they look very smooth, especially when Rascal runs. I'm not sure what I think about the character design. Rascal looks like something that came out of the Dragon Ball universe. And yet, he's the only character so far in the game. Enemies are few and far between, but I didn't get a full grasp on them. There is no story or cutscenes in this demo, but I'm willing to bet that the villain is a sort of mad scientist, and Rascal has to stop the scientist by whatever means necessary. Let me know what you all think in the comments down below. But the music is the best part of this entire demo. The tutorial is the only one that has this upbeat tune play out when Rascal runs very fast but then stops. The music is otherwise very catchy and memorable, and I'd hope it stays that way throughout. So while I did find the overall demo to be impressive, it still needs polish because, again, it's in the alpha stage, and hopefully the next demo and the final release offers more to the levels instead of looking empty the majority of the time. Well, that is it with this video. If you like what you've seen, then please give a like, comment, and subscribe. And in the meantime, thank you for watching Gaming Roki. Have a good one.